who hasn't lost a game, and I'll talk about them after this break. And we're back. That team who deserves the number one spot in the BCS rankings is Notre Dame. 11-0. They're here, folks. Finally here, the saviors of the college football world. Last year, we had, at this time last year, we had Alabama, LSU. Both of them had one loss. Yeah. When was the last time an undefeated team was didn't have any losses at this time last year? Did you actually know the last time there was actually 4 undefeated teams at this time. But whatever. Notre Dame football, back to the greatness, back to the gridiron, back to where it belongs. Let's say back to 2008. They ended their season 7-6 after beating Hawaii in the Hawaii Bowl. They had a shaky year. They were able to beat San Diego and Michigan. Lost to Michigan State. They went on another 2-game winning streak. Things were looking up for the Irish after beating Stanford and Purdue. But when they faced number 22 North Carolina, they lost. But they were able to recover on the road against a win against Washington. But Pitt came to South Bend and upset the Irish in an overtime victory, winning 36-3. Then they proceeded to lose at Boston College, but a save to the season. Oh yes, a save. They beat Navy. Things were looking great. They looked like they could go back home and beat Syracuse. But no. Syracuse would score 14 points in the fourth quarter to beat them. You know what happened during that game? Notre Dame football players were pelted by snowballs from fans sitting in the student section during their loss to Syracuse. It was not a very nice thing to do, but I mean, there was a lot of snow in South Bend during that time, so what are you gonna do? Anyways, they went on and get destroyed by USC at the Coliseum, but they won their bowl game 2009. Could it be any better? Oh no, didn't get any better. This time they lost to Michigan State, but on the bright side, they beat Michigan State. They lost to Michigan, and they beat Michigan State. After 5 weeks, they were 4-1. Things were looking up. Their normal loss to USC was in order. Then they beat Boston College and Washington State. Navy, Pitt, Connecticut, and Stanford. Oh, these are easy opponents. They surely won't lose to them. Well, standing at 6-2, you'd have a lot of confidence, wouldn't you? They lost their next 4 games and became bowl ineligible. Did not make a bowl that year. 2010, looking up, right? Things were looking up for the Irish this year. To start off their season, their quarterback, Dalen Christ, who surprisingly now is on the Jayhawks. I bet you didn't know that. They cruised. They won their first game. Then proceeded to lose their next 3 games. They beat Boston College, and finally they beat Pitt, and they beat Western Michigan. But against Navy, they fell short, and at that point they were 4-4. But was that really all the story of the season? With their season stopped there? No. After losing to Navy, they lost to Tulsa. 4-5. They needed a lot. They needed a lot to win. But that's when their luck came in handy. When they beat Utah, Army, and USC in 3 straight games. made a bowl game, and salvaged a season filled with a few bad losses. 2011. This is going to be great, right? Everyone believes in the team, right? Everyone. They start their season off with South Florida, and they lose to South Florida. They were upsetted. It was just, I think it was just disappointing for Notre Dame. They proceeded to lose to Michigan, but they went on a 4-game winning streak, beating Michigan State, beating Pitt, Purdue, and Air Force. Then they lost to USC, 4-3. What do you do from there? Why don't you just win 4 straight games and lose to Stanford in your last game? 8-4 is not bad. The Champs Sports Bowl was not either. It was not good either. Lost to Florida State 18-4. So we're 18-14. Where are we now? Well, they finally gotten their stuff together. They've beaten all the teams that beaten them before. Now they come here to LA on Saturday to try to make their season an undefeated season. I mean, sure, it took 2 overtime victories and a few close wins, but hey, when it really matters, it matters. Who do I think is going to win on Saturday? I hope USC does not win. Ow. USC does not deserve the win. USC's disappointing year was all we cap in a second. Does not deserve to have a closure. They don't deserve to have joy. They don't deserve to have happiness right now because they didn't work hard enough. The guys on the other side of LA did. UCLA. But do I think that it'll be enough? Do I think that Fighting Irish have enough? Yeah. Will they win the title game if they have to face Alabama? We'll see. Okay, I'm going to finish up on college football, analyzing the USC football schedule. I followed the Trojans closely. I thought they were going to win the title game. I almost had tickets to the Oregon game, but good thing I didn't. 49-10 was a victory against Hawaii. Easy enough. And then they managed to put up 40 again on Syracuse. The following week they fell to Stanford, and they lost their title hopes from there. They beat Cal, they beat Utah, they beat Washington, and then they beat Colorado. 6-1 is not bad. That's not bad at all. Then they managed to get upset by Arizona. And coming off the loss, they almost literally, there was no defense in the game with Oregon. A combined 113 points was the story as the Ducks crushed the Trojans 62-51. Then they had a little victory at Washington State. Then they believed, I don't know why they believe this, they believe that they can go into this Rose Bowl and win. I mean, sure. You played in the Rose Bowl a lot. Doesn't mean you're going to win there. They lose by 10 points, and now here they are. They can either finish really bad, or they can finish okay. The choice is theirs. Are they going to finish horrible, or are they going to finish good? Or well enough. If they don't beat Notre Dame, then I think this year definitely be considered a disappointment. But it would just be a disappointment over a disappointment. So, that's my take. I think UCLA beats Stanford somehow, and then goes to the Rose Bowl. I don't know. We'll see about that. Anyways, enough about college football. That was already a lot about college football. 24 minutes actually of college football. We'll be back with NFL after this break. We are back. NFL football time. Break it down. All the games. Let's start off with Thursday's game with the Dolphins taking on the Bills. Dolphins going to Buffalo, hoping for a win, trying to not just trying to salvage the season, but trying to make the most of it. I mean, both of these teams are at the bottom of their divisions. That's right. But both of these teams have still a little bit of respect for themselves. So I picked Buffalo to win this game. I had a feeling Buffalo probably would win this game because, I mean, Buffalo is a pretty good team. And I just want to say something. I am pretty proud of myself. 12 straight picks. I only have one bad pick this week. So, yeah. So, the Bills played good football. They had about 4 field goals to lift in the victory. So, that was pretty good. McKevin's punt return most likely sparked their team, and Buffalo came away with a victory, 19-14. It's just one of those games. It's one of those quiet games where they win, but it's nothing big deal. Okay, Eagles, Redskins. Eagles just trying to salvage their season again. Like I said before, they're just trying to keep their season alive, and they lost again on the road. The Redskins outgained them. The Eagles turned the ball over, and RG3 threw 4 touchdowns and just demolished the Redskins. Demolished the Eagles, 31-6. This one is not. I'm not very proud about this. I'm very, very not proud about this. Jacksonville versus the Texans. Jacksonville almost beat the Texans. It was a close one. But they didn't somehow. And Jacksonville put up a fight for a good amount of the time, and kept the Texans kind of scared. But Texans came away with a victory, 43-37. If you had Texans defense like I had, and you're a fantasy owner, you're not happy. Cardinals versus Falcons. Cardinals got a hot start, opening up the game 13-0, and then they tied at halftime. No scoring in the third quarter, but fourth quarter, like that always happens at home. Like it always happens. The Falcons came back and rallied as much as the Cardinals fans hate to hear it. Michael Turner gets a 1-yard gain, gets a 1-yard run, goes a touchdown, puts up the Falcons up indefinitely, and wins the game 23-19. It's hard for the Cardinals. It really is. It's hard to be happy when you win the first 4 games, and then you lose your last 6 games. But hey, if you need to talk to anybody about huge disappointments, talk to the Buccaneers. Not this year's Buccaneers, last year's Buccaneers. They were 5-2, or 4-2. Everything was looking fine and dandy. Then, well, then they lost 10 games in a row in the season. That hurts. That really hurts, I think. In my opinion, that's just painful. But that's how life goes. Nothing you can do, nothing you can do about it. They just had a bad year. They couldn't even beat Jacksonville last year, Tampa Bay. But whatever. Cardinals could not finish off the Falcons. The Browns versus the Cowboys. The Browns leading 13-0 at the break. It's so close. But Tony Romo was not about to let his team lose at home again. So, what they decided to do was to rally back